Welcome to our weekly maritime video blog. I'm Corey Ranslam with International Maritime Security Associates. This week, we're talking the UAE and the IMO. Part of what we try to do on this blog is to provide information on different kind of real world events that are happening to make sure that you guys are up to speed with just different things that are happening around the world. We're not doing news live and in real time at this point on the blog, but as we look at different things that are happening in the maritime industry, whether it's with the large yachts, whether it's with cargo lines or cruise lines, we try to pull stories out of topics that we think would be of interest to you guys. We always ask that you, our viewers, give us feedback and provide information or ideas on topics that you would like us to cover. So today we're going to focus on just a couple of different things. We've talked in the past about seafarers' rights and the rights for seafarers on a couple of different blogs. We've talked about crew abandonment and different things with that. There's been some interesting changes that are taking place in the United Arab Emirates that we thought we would highlight on today's blog. I'm not here to comment on what's happening or what's going on, and I really like to take everything initially at face value and then over the coming months and years really see how these changes play out. There's been some interesting changes that are happening in the UAE. Back in 2017, in December, the UAE became the first Arab country to become a part of the IMO, and they're part of what's called Council B. Now, I'm going to explain kind of the breakdown of the IMO and how that works in just a second. And with that, there's some really interesting changes that have been taking place within the country of the UAE, or United Arab Emirates. Right now, the UAE's Federal Transport Authority is really pushing the country to ratify the Maritime Labor Convention. And we'll put a link down below to the MLC of 2006. And we'll probably talk about it on a future upcoming blog. But it has a lot to do with the rights of seafarers and how they're treated on different ships, to the size of accommodations, to the pay, to a number of things. So there's a number of things that are happening in the UAE when it comes specifically to taking care of seafarers. There was a circular that was put out by the FTA in the UAE, again, their Federal Transport Authority, that basically said that any ships that are flying the UAE flag, that's 200 gross tons and up, or ships that would be calling on ports in the UAE, have to have some kind of financial security in place to ensure that seafarers don't get abandoned or don't get left on board ships. And we've seen a number of cases off the UAE, but in other parts of the world, of crew members being abandoned by the ship owner with no food, no medical care, and no way to get off the ship. So one of the things through this circular that I believe the UAE is trying to do is to improve the rights of seafarers so that countries, or not countries, but shipping companies can't just abandon seafarers on board the ships. It's interesting when you start to look at statistics, and I am a statistics person, and I really like to see statistics when it comes to what kind of a problem this is. So we looked on the ILO, the International Labor Organization's website, and again, we'll have a link to this as well, because I think it's some really important data. Is currently there are 80 different crew abandonment cases that are active around the world. Out of those 80, 50 of those cases have been disputed, and this goes back to 2004, and then there's been 140 cases that have been resolved. I've never looked at this data before and thought it was really interesting that there are 80 cases of crew abandonment. Some of these cases, yes, do involve ships flying the UAE flag or ships that have been anchored off the coast of the UAE, but there are a number of other places around the world. The UAE is not even close to being at the top of this list. There's a number of other countries, and you can see when you go to that list who they are. The UAE has also banned an Indian shipping company that is an LPG company, and they have had a number of problems of crew abandonment and a number of issues around the world. So it's really interesting to see countries like the UAE to start to step up and take a leadership position to really look at the issues of crew abandonment. So we're going to continue to follow this story. We're going to continue to watch and see how this plays out over the upcoming weeks, months, and even years as the UAE becomes more involved in the maritime industry. So now we want to talk a little bit about the structure of the IMO, or the International Maritime Organization. We have talked about the IMO on a number of our blogs, so I thought it'd be a good idea just to give you guys a quick little summary of how the structure of the IMO works. So the IMO starts with what's called the Assembly. The Assembly contains every member country of the IMO sits on the Assembly. The Assembly meets once every 2 years, and its responsibility is really as a strategic function for the operations of the IMO. They set the budgets, they work to set the strategic direction, and deal with any issues. That Assembly can meet outside of that once every 2 years if there is a pressing issue. Now, right below the Assembly is what's called the Council, and then below the Council are 5 permanent standing committees, and then there's a number of subcommittees under those standing committees. And so the Council is made up of A, B, and C countries, depending on how those countries are involved in the maritime industry. And the Council and the committees are really the workhorse of the IMO. The Council really makes recommendations on the budget. The Council makes recommendations on who should be appointed as the Secretary General. Obviously, the Assembly has final authority over this, but the Council is really kind of the working body along with the main committees. So there's 5 committees within the IMO. So there's the Maritime Safety Committee, there's the Maritime Environmental Protection Committee, there's a Legal Committee, there's a Technical Cooperation Committee, and the Facilitation Committee. So those are the 5 main committees that work within the IMO, really to kind of get the day-to-day operations done. The UAE, and let me go to my cheat sheet here, the UAE has been appointed as a Category B member on the Council. And a Category B member is basically, these are 10 states with the largest interest in international seaborne trade. So here's the countries that sit on what's called the Category B of the Council. So Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, India, Netherlands, Spain, Sweden, and the United Arab Emirates. On the other side of that, to give you an idea, the Category A members are 10 states with the largest interest in providing international shipping services. So these are fairly large countries that are involved in shipping. So you have China, Greece, Italy, Japan, Norway, Panama, the Republic of Korea, the Russian Federation, the United Kingdom, and the United States. There is also a Category C, and this is 20 states that are not elected under A or B, which have some special interest in maritime transport and navigation, whose election to the Council will ensure representation of all major geographic areas. So the Category C countries include the Bahamas, Belgium, Chile, Cyprus, Denmark, Egypt, Indonesia, Jamaica, Kenya, Liberia, Malaysia, Malta, Mexico, Morocco, Peru, the Philippines, Singapore, South Africa, Thailand, and Turkey. So you can see on the Council through Category A, B, and C, you have a fairly good representation of all the geographic regions of the world, and also representation of countries that are involved in shipping and the maritime trade. So we thought it'd be a good idea to give you a little bit of a breakdown of the IMO and how it works. There's a lot more to it, and we'll put a link to the IMO's website here as well. So if you'd like to get more information, you can really have a better understanding as we move forward to hopefully educate you guys on how this big world of maritime works. Thanks for joining us this week. We really appreciate all the viewers that we have on this channel. If you like this channel, make sure you share it with your friends and colleagues in the maritime industry. For all the videos you like, also make sure you hit that like button. We invite you to subscribe to this channel so you get notified when we put out new videos across all of our topic categories. We also invite you to connect with us on social media. We want to hear from you. We want to get your feedback and understand what topics and areas you want us to cover on this blog. Our social media is detailed in the banner above and also in the comments section below. If you have any questions on maritime regulatory compliance, risk management, or maritime security, don't hesitate to reach out to our experts. We're here to help you because we always want to make sure we steer you in the right direction.